Good morning. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful week, huh? It's been great. I love this weather. It's great weather. Finally. You know, the funny thing is the guy who cuts my grass told me now I have to water my grass. I was looking forward to the point where I didn't have to water my grass, so I didn't have to pay him to cut it. But apparently, I am very wrong about that. Okay, we have a couple announcements today. The first one is from our Social Action Council. This Tuesday, meaning 2 days from today, or 3, depending on how you count, the Texas UU Justice Ministry is sponsoring a phone bank to call Texas voters to get out the vote. You will call from home. You will not use your personal phone. And if you want information, see the newsletter for details on how to sign up. We have an important election-type event coming up in, what is it? Let me see, I have the numbers right here. 15 days, got a big event, right? So let's get that vote out. I'm hearing people talking about the vote, and I'm a little worried. Lunch bunch today. So today after church, today after services, we are going to hold a congregational meeting. We held 2 listening sessions earlier, and both of those listening sessions met with no questions and no comments. So we are assuming that the congregational meeting will be quick. So if we can do a quick congregational meeting, then we will go to Leaf and Grain, which is right here on San Felipe. If the, is that what we said, Carol? Yeah, let's. If we can do a quick enough congregational meeting, we can all go for lunch. How about that for a bribe? Okay. So after the congregation, members, we'd love for you to stay here, and we can hold the congregational meeting. Friends, we have coffee out in the gathering place for you. Now we have 2 announcements here by people other than me. The first is Lane Devereaux, who is going to give you some information on the installation. Lane? You can use the lectern, yeah.
Good morning. This is my first time ever being up here. It's a lovely view of all of you. In 13 days, we're going to have a singular event at Emerson, which is the installation of our minister, Ed Proulx. It's an event in which the congregation and the minister pledge to each other their future. The last time we did this was 25 years ago, actually October 24th, 1999, when we installed Reverends Becky and Mark. The committee that's working on this is very happy to put on the installation service and a dinner afterwards. The service is at 3:30, so dinner is a little bit early, but for us older people, that's normal. We would like 2 things from the congregation, and if people are at home, they can do this online. Number 1, we'd like you to RSVP. We accidentally posted that the RSVPs closed on November 18th, which is obviously an error. And we need to know right away if there are any additional people. So outside in the gathering place, there's a table where you can fill out an RSVP card. And secondly, if you have the ability to help with setup or decorating or perhaps cleanup, we have some sign-up sheets outside also. So thank you, and we hope that you'll come to the installation and the dinner.
Before you run off, come here. I want you to know how much work this person is doing to pull this off.
And Carol.
And Carol. She's not alone. And Carol and Ann, and we're just doing a lot of work, and thank you very much for
Very happy to do it.
Oh, I'm glad. Okay. The one thing I've heard from people is that they didn't know it was on Saturday and not Sunday. So you need to know that it's on what day? Saturday. Not Sunday. Beautiful. Okay, next announcement. Could we hear from Alejandro Posada about the stewardship drive? Because we don't have anything going on right now.
Good morning, everyone. So it's wonderful to see all your faces again. For those who don't know me, I'm Alejandra Posada. I'm one of the members of this year's Stewardship Committee, along with Lori Hammonds and Dory Wolf. So we're about 2/3 of the way into our stewardship campaign, and as of October 14, there's always a few days lag in the record keeping, but as of October 15, we've received pledges from 40 people or households, totaling $322,598, which is 63% of our goal of $515,000. So we've made some progress, but we still need to raise over 1/3 of what we need. As Hillary reminded us last week and in the Stewardship Trifold, we need the income from pledges in spite of the incredibly generous gift that the church has received of $1 million over 3 years. That gift can help secure Emerson's future, but not if we use it to cover our operating expenses in place of pledge income. So if you've already pledged, thank you. And if you haven't, please think about what Emerson means to you and what you're able to contribute. Now I want to switch gears just a little bit and tell you about what Emerson means to me and why I pledge. I became a member in 2018 on the first day I attended a service here. It just felt right, and I made my first pledge that day. Then life happened, I was extremely busy at work, I attended off and on, and then of course COVID happened. In the spring of last year, in early 2023, I started coming more regularly and becoming more involved in the life here at Emerson. And then in the late summer of 2023, I fell into a very severe treatment-resistant episode of depression. I could barely function. I left my job of 13 years because I couldn't accomplish anything at work. I wasn't doing anything or going anywhere, including church. I went through a lot of treatment. I'm very fortunate to have had access to it. And earlier this year, with my doctors, we finally found a treatment combination that seemed to help. Tentatively, I came back to church, and I was welcomed with open arms, with no judgment, only compassion. Since then, over the last several months, Emerson has become an important component in my process of healing and recovery. I have found community and friendship, and I've been able to contribute to something greater than myself. I'm doing much better now. I still struggle, but I'm better than I've been for over a year. And Emerson has played no small part in that. I'm engaged with life again, and I'm looking for a new job. And once I'm working again, I'm hoping I can increase my pledge. So that's my story, part of the reason I pledge. You all have your own stories, and I hope that they too will inspire you to pledge in a timely manner, because if 98% of members get their pledges in by next Sunday, October 27, or postmarked the day before, October 26, we have several generous members who together will contribute an additional $5,200 to Emerson, plus $500 to Habitat for Humanity to aid recovery efforts after the recent hurricanes. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for thinking about what Emerson means to you and pledging your support. And thank you for making Emerson the special community that it is.
Thank you for telling us your story. Our stories often are unseeable, and they're wonderful to be seen. On the next Sunday is the fourth Sunday. We're going to do, if you're still a little new around here, we're going to have a new UU, new to Emerson class next Sunday. Today, this Sunday, I want to make it very clear to you that the elevator has taken a day off. And we've made sure that no one upstairs is stuck there. But if you think you might have trouble coming back downstairs, don't go upstairs because you might not. I don't know what's wrong with the elevator. It broke yesterday. We had them here yesterday, and they fixed it, and it's broken again today. So, okay. So just don't use the elevator. And then one last thing, we'd like to especially welcome our visitors this morning. We are very happy you've chosen to come here and be here with us. If you're still a little new around here, but you would like to get to know more about us, or if you would like us to get to know a little bit more about you, there are yellow cards in the pew. We will put you on our mailing list so you can be aware of all the events going on here at Emerson. We promise to send you 2 emails per week, not 42. That's all. We're not a marketing organization, which we're working on it, but we're not a marketing organization. So I would like to thank, I never did introduce myself. I'm Reverend Ed Proulx. I'm the minister here, and we have Chris Taylor as our worship associate today. Chris helps this congregation in many ways. She runs the bookstore, and she also is on the communications team. Did I miss anything? That's it? Lots of other things. Wonderful. And now, after all of that, I told you there's a lot going on. I'd like to invite Charlie to bring us into our sacred space.
Good morning. Now as we transition into our sacred time together, a time of reverence, a time of attention, a time of intention, I invite you to join us in this time marked by the lighting of our chalice flame. And I'd like to invite Alejandra back to light our chalice in the sanctuary. And I invite those of you at home to light a candle wherever you are to join us in spirit. We mark this sacred time with words, important words that bring us into a time of collective intention. As we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light. Oh, I'm sorry, I already said that. Our chalice lighting words this month are from Reverend Chris Rothbauer. Chris is currently serving as a minister in Carrollton, Texas at Horizon UU. Prior to arriving at Horizon, he served congregations in Michigan and Alabama. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on your screen. We gather together this morning because others came before us. Some have left examples for us to follow, others lessons for us to learn from. And the paradox is that many have left both pain and joy. We honor our ancestors this morning, not because they are perfect, but because without them, we would not be here together, sharing our joy, our pain, our living, and our dying.
When we have a special event in our congregation, we light a candle of joy and remembrance. And as far as I can remember, since I've been here, they have all been candles of joy, all been candles of remembrance. Well, we're going to break that trend today. We are lighting a candle of joy and celebration for Robin Sickles and Janet Meininger, who welcome in their new grandchild, Arthur Robert Richards. There you go. So here's what I'd like to do. They couldn't be with us today because they're in New York taking care of Arthur Robert Richards. So what I'd like to do is have the cameras point backwards, and if y'all could, we're going to look the cameras right above the door. If y'all could look at the camera, and then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to say this to them. Oops. Slide. There you go. Ay, que guapito, which means, oh, what a cutie, but in Spanish. So if we could turn around, look at the slide, look at the camera above the door, wave hi to Janet and Robin, and say, oh, ay, que guapito. And there. Finally, a candle of joy, which we welcome. And now, Chris, I invite you to continue.
Nobody told us we were going to practice our Spanish this morning. Emerson is a beloved community of faith, reason, and affection. We welcome all to grow in mind and spirit as we build a better world. We do this by gathering to seek, learn, and grow, and in the course of our work to promote love among each other, our congregation, and the wider community here in Houston. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom or on Facebook, we welcome you. No matter where you are in your personal spiritual journey, we invite you to live, learn, love, and grow with us. As a covenantal community, we aspire to promote love, fellowship, and social justice, as well as support for your personal growth. Please join me in our welcoming. The words are on the screen. I'm going to check and make sure it's in English. Okay. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. And now we have our presentation of This Week in Unitarian Universalist History with Richard Cummins.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning. From this wonderful book, This Day in Unitarian Universalist History, I've selected some entries for the week of October 14th to October 20th. On October 15th in 1826, Transcendentalist Ralph Waldo Emerson preached his very first sermon, Pray Without Ceasing, at the Unitarian Church in Waltham, Massachusetts. On the same day in 1889, Manchester College, an academy to train dissenters from the Church of England for the learned professions, opened in Oxford. Having moved from London, its primary function was to train Unitarian ministers. At the time the college was founded in 1786, Unitarians were not allowed to graduate from either Oxford or Cambridge because of the requirement to sign the 39 Articles of the Church of England. Manchester College is now named Harris Manchester College and is one of the constituent colleges of Oxford University. Its charter from Queen Elizabeth II requires that the chaplain of the college is a Unitarian. Unitarian ministerial students are trained at no cost, and a Unitarian is on the college's governing body. That's what it says. On October 17th, in 1916, Julia Ward Howe, a Unitarian activist and author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, she died at age 96. And finally, on the 18th, in 1735, John Adams was born in Braintree, Massachusetts. It's now called Quincy. He graduated from Harvard, and became a prominent lawyer and patriot when he attacked the Stamp Act in 1765. As a delegate to the Second Continental Congress, he helped to draft the Declaration of Independence. Adams also drafted the Massachusetts Constitution and served as Commissioner to France. Of course, he was vice president under George Washington and succeeded him as president in 1797. Adams and Jefferson were opposed politically, but they reconciled. Among Adams' important writings are Thoughts on Government, Discourses on Davila. He was a member of the First Parish, Unitarian, in Quincy, Massachusetts, where he is now buried with his wife, son, and daughter-in-law under the care of the National Park Service. Adams died at home on July 4th, 1826, only a few hours after the death of Thomas Jefferson. And that was this day in Unitarian history.
Thank you, Richard.
Back to
Thank you.
Reverend Ed.
It's me, yeah. Each time we are gathered here, we hear the words from one of our six Unitarian Universalist sources. Today, we hear the word of prophetic voices. Prophetic voices, this prophetic voice is Reinhold Niebuhr. Reinhold Niebuhr was an American Protestant theologist who lived until just recently, dying in 1971. He's most widely known for the Serenity Prayer. Do you know the Serenity Prayer? God grant me that's Reinhold Niebuhr. We would probably mostly disagree with some of his theology, but these words come from his 1952 book, The Irony of American History, which is a catchy little title, right? The Irony of American History, which he wrote about 10 years after he wrote the Serenity Prayer. So here's what he has to say for your consideration this morning. Nothing that is worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. Nothing which is true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we must be saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as it is from our standpoint. And that's the end of his quote. And now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and minds centered, we invite you to join your voices with ours. You may stand, you may stay seated, whatever you are comfortable in doing, but please help us sing. Our opening hymn is number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
True
It's at this point in our service where we bring in messages in different voices. And today, the voice is a children's story. And this children's story I could have read for you, but I found a video of it, and I just found it cute. And I love the message of the book. So we are going to play the children's story in a video today. So enjoy. The book is called After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again.
Daddy, wait a bit.
After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again. A story by Dan Santat. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I love being close to the birds. Then, one day, I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. After that day, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. I walked past that wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really missed the birds and being high above the city. But I could never do it, because I knew that accidents can happen. I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. Then, one day, an idea flew by. Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches. But day after day, I kept trying and trying until I got it just right. My plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. Unfortunately, accidents happen. They always do. I almost walked away again. But then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on my plane and all the other things I'd missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing, one step at a time, until I was no longer afraid. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Hopefully you'll remember me as the egg who got back up and learned to fly.
Each time we gather, we ask your help in fulfilling this church's mission. The success of this church and the principles we support is made possible by the work of our members and friends and by your financial support. We honor that support by striving to live the mission of this place fully and wholeheartedly. Here at Emerson, the offering does not go to funding our work, which is funded through pledges of financial support. This collection each week goes to fund the work of important partners of Emerson who, in our opinion, live out our Unitarian Universalist values in our community and the world beyond our community. The act of giving our financial support is both a transformative spiritual act and one way we live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to October's Share the Plate recipient, Texas Environmental Justice Advocacy Services. Its goal is to promote environmental protection through education, policy development, community awareness, and legal action, because all people are entitled to live in a clean environment, regardless of race or economic condition. The remaining 25% will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church. And during the offering, the children who want to attend their RE class can follow the teacher to the classroom.
I don't know about you, but I think we are so lucky or blessed, as a church, I should probably say blessed, right? To have not one, but two wonderful piano players that come here every week. Charlie, this is Charlie. Charlie's substituting for Artum, and it's just, I don't know, it just adds so much to the service. It's just so wonderful. Now, this is the part in our service where we give you a chance to just calm down and sit and allow yourselves to just be, which is remarkably difficult to do in Western culture. Just be. Just be. Allow yourself, allow your shoulders to sink a little bit. Allow your back to press up against the back of the pew. Feel your legs on the seat of the pew. Feel your knees on the pew. Feel your feet on the floor and just feel them. Feel your shoulders. Feel your back. Feel your legs. Feel your knees. Feel your feet. Just for a minute. Just for a minute. Just be with yourself.
The words for our second reading today come from Michael Servetus, who's sort of a UU martyr, although that story may or may not be quite as romantic as others have made it out to be. Servetus was a Spanish theologian, physician, a map maker, and a Renaissance humanist. To this day, he is renowned in the history of several of these areas, particularly in medicine, because he was the first European to correctly describe the function of pulmonary circulation. What got him martyred was that he rejected the doctrine of the Trinity back in the 1500s, which resulted in his being the only person ever executed by John Calvin. His words for your consideration this morning come from later in his life when he was in trouble with the church for both his medical and his theological writings. He said, "If I have taken the word by any reason, it has been because I think it is grave to kill men under the pretext that they are mistaken on the interpretation of some point. This is because we know that even the chosen ones are not exempt from sometimes being wrong."
I once asked a woman I work with when the baby was due. In my defense, I was 24 and did not have a whole lot of experience with pregnant women. And also in my defense, never did that again. Anybody ever done that? Come on, I can't be the only one. Okay, thank you. Oh. Like you, I have learned more from my mistakes than I have learned from my successes. What you learn from a mistake sticks with you in a way that what you learn from a success doesn't. That little event in Waltham, Massachusetts, 34 years ago, is right here. It does not need to be recalled. It is right here. So today we're talking about mistakes. And I want to make one thing very clear. I'm not talking about sin. Sin is different. Sin has intention behind it. Sin is something that, generally speaking, goes against your morality, or in the case of politicians who may or may not have morality, go against other people's morality. Politicians love to take sins and turn them into mistakes when they are talking about their transgressions. Yes, I cheated on my wife while she was dying from cancer. I'm sorry I made that mistake. Nope, not a mistake. Sin. You knew you shouldn't have done that. But they'll call it a mistake. And in that framing, mistakes sort of turn into like junior sins. But they're not. They're totally different because sins don't have any intention behind them. If you pick up the salt and pour it into your coffee, that's a mistake. It's not a sin. That's the difference. I'll tell you another story. In Glens Falls, anybody ever been to Glens Falls, New York? 2 people, right? Yes. I forget we're in Texas. Yeah, okay, that's far. Glens Falls, New York is this tiny little town in New York. And there's this weird thing in Glens Falls, New York. I was there for one day on business. And in the morning, this street was a 2-way street. But in the afternoon, this street was a 1-way street. Oh, what am I, a mind reader? So I'm going up the street the wrong way, and everybody's honking at me because that's the way I went to where I was going in the morning, so why wouldn't you just go that way in the afternoon? And it was weird because there was a fork in the road, and you came up like this, and it's a fork the other way, and it merged So during the morning, you could keep going, but in the afternoon, you had to stop and go anyway. It was just not very well laid out. Folks, from day one, when you're 5 or 6 years old in elementary school, you are rewarded for getting the right thing, and you are punished for getting the wrong thing, right? You're asked a question, Johnny, what comes after C? Johnny, Susie, Lori, whatever your name is, what comes after C? D, good boy, Johnny, pat on the head, reward, you feel good about yourself. That continues for a long time. When I was teaching high school back in the 90s, these kids, these college-bound kids that I had, they were intently focused on grades. Half of them would come back after I gave back the test and argue with me that this was right or this was not as wrong as you say it is. You only took half a point off for Susie, and she did the same thing. They were intently focused on this reward system, which just gets more and more important as time goes on, and the pressure just goes up and up and up. And we see this desire to be perfect all the time. I love going into the little diner, right, in the middle of nowhere diner, and there it is, they're talking about their $6 hamburger, and they say it's cooked to perfection. Like how, right? Like I'm looking around like I don't think anything's perfect in this place. And yet there it is right on the menu. We want to see that, right? And yet we fully acknowledge that mistakes happen. We build mistakes, we build sort of mistake prevention into our society, into our systems, right? Think about things that are basically confessions that mistakes are everywhere. Guardrails on the side of the road. You wouldn't need guardrails if people didn't make mistakes, right? How about contracts? You wouldn't need contracts either. Contracts are a very simple thing. I promise that I won't bounce a check. If I do, I'll pay you $40. That's a contract. There's mistakes happen, little mistakes, little transgressions happen, and we have an entire societal system to fix them. We have forgiveness built into our society, a way to get out of a very teeny tiny jail. We are very good at forgiving as people. We have it in our nature. When we see errors without intent, we're very forgiving, except for one person. We are not very forgiving of one particular person. Do you know who that might be? Ourselves. We are ridiculously hard on ourselves. We look around at every other person in the world and we know that they will make mistakes. That's why we have guardrails, right? That's why we have signs on things. That's why we do this, except for us. I think it's cultural. It's been built into our system since day one in first grade. Good job, Johnny, Susie, Lori, whatever your name is. So we find it really hard to be forgiving with ourselves. But my friends, life is a dance, right? Normally after this service, I play Life as a Dance as a hymn, but we already played it, so I couldn't do it again. That would be crazy. But life is a dance, right? It's a dance with partners. It's a dance with acquaintances. It's a dance with total strangers. When you're driving down 610 and all those people on either side of the road, you are dancing with them, and you are dancing with total strangers. That's what it is. But dances are meant to be messy. And that's why we sang the first hymn. I want to give you a little explanation of the first hymn, just a little brief explanation. The first hymn is a shaker hymn, okay? And believe it or not, it's a dance tune. Now, the Shakers were not exactly party animals, right? It's a dance tune. And the turning that they talk about in turning and round up, right, is actually dancing. okay? But there's two, and if you remember the hymn, when we sang the hymn, there was this change in the hymn, right? The first part was one way, the second part was a different way. So first thing you need to know about the hymn is we sing, this is a theological thing, don't let it slip by. We sing, "'Tis a gift to be simple." The original Shaker hymn was, "'Tis the gift to be simple." That's different, isn't it? "'Tis the gift to be simple." And then it says, "'Tis the gift to come down where we ought to be." Oh, it feels so good to do the right thing. "'Tis a gift when we find ourselves in the place just right. We'll be in the valley of love and delight." And what they're saying is, sometimes things work out. And then they change gears in the middle of the hymn. Click. And they change gears. And they say, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and bend, we shan't be ashamed. When we're doing the dance and we make a mistake doing the dance, just keep on going. Turn and turn, it'll be our delight. We're going to have fun, whether we're doing it wrong or doing it right. Turn, and we'll come out right, even when things don't work out. Just keep going and have some fun. Listen to a message from the 1850s from the Shakers. Messages are everywhere, aren't there? They're so beautiful if you pay attention. So my message to you today is, if a group of people from the 1850s knew that simplicity, true simplicity, is welcoming in everybody around you, but most importantly, welcoming in yourself. Allow yourself some grace. That same grace you allow to everybody else, allow it to yourself. And I just ask you this week to think about, and for those of you who need an absolutely rational reason to do that, I'd like to give you a very rational reason to do that. Learning to give yourself a little grace can make you a better dancer, right? How about singers? If you make a mistake, what are you supposed to do? Stop? No, you keep right on going, right? And that's what you got to do. You can't be a good singer if you keep stopping. You can't be a good dancer if you keep stopping. So let yourself be a better dancer, because when you give yourself a little grace, you're actually more effective at whatever it is you're trying to do. You're better. You're better by learning. You're better by learning from your mistakes. So give it a try. Give it a try, and give yourself a little break next time you need one. Okay? You do that? Yes. I'm glad to hear you can do that. Now I'd like to introduce our second hymn, which is itself a giant mistake. Our second hymn, if you look in your hymnals, if you want to pull out your hymnals, hymnal number 1014, in the hymnal it is called "Standing on the Side of Love." And Unitarian Universalists all over the country said that's a pretty song. And then some people for whom standing was a challenge said, "I'm not too fond of that song." And the writer of that song, Jason Shelton, rewrote it. So the lyric that's in your hymnal is different than the lyric that we're going to have on the board. So that's why I chose that song. That's why I was singing that song, because it is a mistake. So if you join me by standing and singing our last hymn, I would love it.
The truth Sometimes we build a barrier to keep our finding out. Corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
My friends, we have come to the part in our service where we must extinguish our chalice flame. I invite Alejandra to come and extinguish our chalice flame for us. As she does that, I remind you that our chalice flame has served as a reminder to us in our time together that our time together this morning has been sacred, a time we voluntarily set apart during the week to do the work of being human. In the words of my friend Brian Kiley, the chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry the flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. We will be holding our congregational meeting right here. It would be great if you are a member. Could you just not move? And we will I don't think this is going to be a long meeting. I don't think so. It would be great for everybody who's not a member or not interested in staying for the vote. Welcome to have some coffee outside. We will join, not outside, out in the gathering place. We will join you momentarily. I believe I saw Hillary. I thought I saw Hillary. And that's it. We invite you now to prepare for our congregational meeting.